Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be taking a look at the trailer and giving it a slight breakdown. It's not going to be anything too crazy. I wanted to go more in depth, but unfortunately it looks like this expansion mostly, of course, is going to be around rehashing old cards in new places, so mostly it's going to be speculation. Also, the big factor that a lot of the cards we have seen, I'd say about 50% look to be some form of a new creation or a new variation compared to Rage of Bahamut. I couldn't find exact comparisons for everything, so I didn't really want to go super in-depth into the Rage of Bahamut stuff, but I will mention them as they pop up. So we'll kick this off by starting it. Of course, pretty standard opening. You start off with the side game stuff. I do recommend watching this in full. If you haven't, I will leave a link in the description below if you want to go check that out on Side Games and Shadowverse's channels. So we're starting off with pretty picturesque photos of Asunia and some dragons. Looks like they're just displaying how peaceful it is. Of course, then in comes Serenity. This is actually fairly interesting because I'm hoping it'll play a role in the future of everything that's going on with Asunia and the Guild Wars. Especially if this ends up being a part of what Serenity summons. It'll be really cool, especially since we have seen this is a card, it has been announced. It is an altar card, I can't remember what, altar plane, something or other. Bad at remembering names, we'll get to that when we do our card reviews, but he's pretty generic, neutral, kind of legendary, but the way he attacks Asunia looks really cool, and I hope it's not just going to be a trailer feature and will be incorporated in the story. Then we have, of course, our first kind of big card there, which is the angel kind of thing. I mean, we've got Aether of Whitewing. Go back just a little bit there. So yeah, Aether of Whitewing is our first kind of big appearance. Looking fairly different, but still fairly much the same as our pretty standard Haven Aether. Of course, this one is going to be Swordcraft. We know that. We've seen the card for it. It was one of the other few cards that were announced straight away. Not a big shock there, honestly, with the way this card is designed. It was going to have to be Sword, really. There wasn't much else it could be if it was going to switch classes with the way it was designed, as it still has a very light holy theme, but with a sword, of course, makes it pretty obvious. But still, a lot of fun by the looks of it. We're going to look more into this card as we go into, of course, the card reviews, similar to the first one, and then everything else from here should be speculation unless stuff's announced before this video goes up, but it probably shouldn't be, so that's going to be, of course, the first thing. Then we have Big Papa Dragon. Looking at him, he's most likely Fafnir by the things that we've looked at, and assuming that we're not really sure where he's going to end up. There's some speculation, it's possible he could go into Shadow, maybe he could go into Rune, or Blood, I guess. There's a few options. I mean, he's got definitely a darker theme, so I could definitely see Blood or Shadow taking him for the top, but I'm still iffy on where I would want to put him overall. It's just a little awkward. Shadow could definitely be a place, though. But they do a wonderful job of these trailers. Then, of course, we have probably one of my favourite ones for this one. It's going to be the Idol Medusa. So, I couldn't really get a clean pause there, but that's fine. I'm sure if you guys check this out in your own time, you'll be able to get that. But she's going to be pretty straightforward. I reckon it's going to go straight to Portal. If she's not going to be in Blood, of course, because it's different classes, that's the whole point of this expansion. Definitely going to go to Portal. I'd say at least 90% sure. There's a small little doubt. It's possible she could go other places, but definitely strongly leaning towards Portal because it would make sense to put all the idols together into Portalcraft to create a kind of idol-themed deck, which would make a lot of sense. Of course, this is just my opinion, so don't take it as fact, but definitely what I'm leaning towards with this one. Then, of course, the very next thing we get is a pretty outward shot, and then straight into Ektar himself. This time, his head is attached to his body. He does have what looks to be a very Haven-esque thing in the background. Not a surprise there, honestly. Most people would have assumed he went to Sword just based on his art, but he has got Blades of Light, literally Blades of Light. They are not standard sword blades, so definitely leans me into thinking Haven is a strong possibility, especially since we already know Aether is going to Sword, so I think Ektar has to fit somewhere else, and Haven looks to be where that will probably slot in. Then, we go straight on to one that is actually straight from Rage of Bahamut, similar to Idol Medusa. Idol Medusa is actually from Rage as well. They did do a variation on that, and are now incorporating it here, but this one, initially you look at it and you go, okay, that's Olivia, but in a Rage of Bahamut's lore, she actually is called Sylvia. and she actually fits a whole different role and ends up being a completely separate character, unlike kind of Idol Medusa, who is just a variation on Medusa. This one is actually its own individual card. Now, whether they decide to go down the route of just using her card art and decide, okay, she's just going to be another variation of Olivia, that could be completely fine. But straight up, definitely is some form of variation on Olivia. Whether they keep it as Sylvia or not, that's up to them. She was meant to be, I think, a servant of Olivia or an arch nemesis of Olivia. I'm not full into Rage of Bahamut lore in that way. I've rarely played the game, mostly just looking through lore files and stuff, and I didn't go super in depth on this character in particular, but I know that's where she's from, so I thought we'd bring that up as we go forward. And her, I think, will probably fit into probably Blood, just looking at her artwork maybe. If it's not Blood, it's going to be Dragon. They're the two that I'm kind of iffy on. So then we have the full outward zoom, of course. Big battle going on. Asunia's pretty much gone at this point, but it does make me wonder. And then, of course, the epic logo. I think this is a super nice logo. Altersphere. New expansion coming December 2018. The Japanese trailer actually has a date at the end of it. Unfortunately, English ones don't tend to, which is a little disappointing. And they've dated it for the 27th of December, Japan time obviously, so that'll probably be the 26th-ish for America, I think, and around the 27th-ish for me, just based on time zones, so not a huge shock there, honestly. And then we have a little bit more interesting, because they actually have all the other cards that weren't featured in the trailer here. So, of course, we have the ones that were featured in the trailer. So we've got Medusa, we've got Fafnir, Aether, Ecta, and Sylvia/Olivia. Really not sure which way they're going to take that card, but that's fine. Then we have the three others that have been featured here. So, I believe the one in the corner just opposite Medusa is Pascal. Then we have Rose Queen, and then Otahime. So, Pascal is, I'm pretty sure, traditionally a dragon card. I'm pretty certain that's the dragon card. So, if it's not, no, sorry, it's not, is it not dragon? I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, looking at her right now, thinking probably forest, just based on the artwork and the flowers and, sorry, stuff like that. Looking at her like that. And then, of course, Rose Queen right next to her. Not really sure, honestly. The one problem with Rose Queen is I've got a few thoughts on it. It definitely could go to Shadow, which is why Fafnir is kind of awkward. Similar problem with Otahime, looks very Shadow-esque. So Rose Queen and Otahime both could go to Shadow, either way. If not, I assume Rose Queen would probably go to Blood, which would then make the Olivia-esque one go to something like Dragon, with the Fafnir probably going to Shadow, and then the Otahime going to Rune. That would be my final guess on all of them, so Aether Sword, Ecta Haven, Olivia for Dragon, Otahime would probably go to Rune, then Rose Queen to Blood, Pascal to Dragon, Portal with Medusa, and then Fafnir to Shadow. That would just be me looking at these like this right now as my speculation. Of course, as I mentioned, iffy on a few of them. I'm honestly just iffy on the four mainly. I think I can pretty much say Ecta is going to be guaranteed to go in Haven just based on its artwork that we already have Sword. Medusa, I can't see it fitting anywhere else myself, although it is possible it could go to Rune just based on some talk about it, but honestly I think Artifacts is going to be the most likely in some shape or form. And then of course Pascal is just too forest looking not to throw in that. And then the other four are just kind of a mixed bag, but definitely leaning towards that prediction. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. There's really not much left to this trailer. It pretty much is just a scene for the whole rest of the end of it. So if you guys did enjoy it, hit the like button and subscribe. We're going to have our card reviews come out as soon as we have some more cards. I don't like covering one or two cards. I'd much rather cover a block of cards. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Until next time, see ya.